Creating a national day for truth and reconciliation was one of the 94 calls to action by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It's meant to honor the survivors of residential schools and those who never came home. This year, the day will include a special event in Saskatoon. It's called the Every Child Matters Concert, and it's being hosted by the Saskatoon Tribal Council. Tribal Chief Mark Arcand joins me now to tell us more. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So where did the idea come from?
Well, it came from within our organization, within our C-suite in regards to, we know that through these troubling times of the truth that's being said through the unmarked graves and everything else through residential schools, it's really an awakening for every Canadian citizen across this country, but also the world in regards to residential schools. And so we thought about bringing something unique to our city, to our survivors across this province, across this country. So we thought an evening with music, because music is soothing, calming, especially country music, and it brings people together. So that's how we came up with the idea of trying to do something nice for people and try to uplift some spirits in a downtime, especially with COVID and what it's been like for the last 20 months with COVID, but also the residential schools. It feels like we're in our second pandemic now with the residential schools and the unmarked graves.
You mentioned country music. How did you decide which artists are going to perform?
Well, we wanted some Canadian local talent, and the three people that we selected are good country musicians with a long history. So George Canyon, Charlie Major, and Gord Bamford. We wanted to start as a historic event in Canada, with Canadian singers and making sure that they're local and having a really impact of residential schools in across our provinces in our country. So we thought these three guys were a good package together. I've talked to each one of them, and they are totally on board. They want to be involved in everything that we do that evening, which tells me they have a good awareness and understanding of residential schools. So it's pretty meaningful.
And there will be Indigenous performers as well, correct?
There will actually be a host drum there, some cultural dancers, but those are the highlights of the night for us, because that was one of the reasons why residential schools was to take the Indian out of the child, to take our language, our culture, and our identity. So we're making sure that that's inclusive of tomorrow night's performance, and we're going to showcase that our traditions and our values and our language and our culture is still thriving, and it's our culture is a beautiful thing. So we want to share that with the world, and we want to make sure everybody has an understanding about First Nations country.
How are you hoping this event will help build stronger connections, not just here, but across the country?
Well, I think the biggest thing is what I always call awareness, education, and that all leads to understanding. And the biggest thing is what I'm hearing from non-Indigenous people. They didn't understand, or they didn't know that this happened to Indigenous people at residential schools. So this is the way to talk about these. And when we talk about this, it's the truth. We know why the TRC calls to action. So one of the calls to action is call to action number 80 that speaks about the TRC calls to action for the federal government to make a statutory holiday, and they've done that for September 30th. And it leads to how our people told their truths about residential school. And that truth is now going to lead to reconciliation. So it's all about education, awareness, and understanding about residential schools and how we can all work together. So what I'm very proud of it is the city of Saskatoon. A lot of the organizations are coming together to support and understand, and they want to make a difference so everybody can have a quality of life.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, and good luck tomorrow.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Tribal Chief Mark Arcand in Saskatoon, one of the organizers for the Every Child Matters concert tomorrow night.